We interrupt this broadcast with breaking news. This just in. In a stunning turn of events, the beloved robot Mia was reportedly kidnapped by aliens today. A source who was not at the scene said he heard that Mia was taken aboard the alien spaceship and was whisked away to outer space. Authorities are still investigating the abduction, leaving everyone in fear for Mia's safety. We will continue to monitor this situation and report more news as we get it.
Welcome back, historians. I'm so glad you made it in time to hear the news with me. I'm sure you're just as worried about Mia as I am. I just hope... Hold on. It's a text from Mia. I'll read it to you.
I am in outer space and having a blast. I was picked up by some alien friends who are taking me on a ride to see Saturn's rings. Be back soon.
Oh, and she even sent a selfie. Look.
I don't think we have to worry. Mia is just fine.
Phew. I sure am glad we heard from Mia so that we know she's safe and having a good time. Now we can start our lesson. Let's get into it. I just realized that Mia's text and that news report are each great examples of a couple of things we'll be discussing today. More on that in a moment.
Our objectives for today are to explain the importance of primary and secondary sources, describe the use of artifacts and archaeology as sources of historical information, and describe the use of different historical ages to measure the progression of civilizations.
Are you ready, historians? A primary source is a first-hand account of what happened in an event. Remember that text we got from Mia just now? Well, that's a great primary source because we got it directly from Mia. Historians use primary sources from people who lived a long time ago to learn what things were really like back then. For example, a letter written by someone from the past is a primary source. It was written by the person who experienced the events they're writing about, and it's a direct connection to that time in history. Like this photograph. I mean, someone had to be there to take it, right? This is a primary source. Another primary source could be a legal document, like a set of laws or a declaration. Primary sources include newspaper articles from the past, film footage, diaries and journals, and speeches or interviews. We'll explore more examples of primary sources in your PDF.
Another type of primary source is an artifact. These are things that were made by people in the past, like tools or pottery.
Remember, primary sources come from the time period you're studying. Thing is, the further back you want to study historical events, the fewer primary sources you're likely to find.
When historians or researchers study history, they like to look at primary sources because they can get a more accurate understanding of the past. It's like a window into history that lets us learn more about what things were really like, rather than just reading about it in a textbook or hearing about it from someone else. Which leads us to secondary sources. Now that you know what a primary source is, what do you think a secondary source might be?
Let me help. Remember the news report we heard saying that Mia had been kidnapped by aliens? The reporter said, a source who was not at the scene said he heard that Mia was taken by the aliens. That is an example of a secondary source. If the news reporter had been at the scene or interviewed people who had actually seen Mia get on the spaceship, it could have been a primary source. Instead, the report was a secondary source. A secondary source is a description or interpretation of events from someone who was not there when it happened. They can still be useful when studying history, but they're not as reliable as primary sources. Examples of secondary sources include textbooks and encyclopedias, most websites, and things like documentaries, which are all someone's interpretation of a historical event. Artifacts are primary sources that tell us a lot about ancient civilizations.
Artifacts are usually found by archaeologists, who are historians who study past cultures by analyzing items they left behind.
Can you think of some artifacts? Take a moment to jot down a few.
In addition to tools and pottery, artifacts can be weapons, jewelry, even monuments, or entire buildings.
Really? Artifacts are anything made and left behind by a past culture. It has the same root base as artificial, which means made by humans. Fossils, such as these dinosaur remains or even human bones, are not artifacts because they came from living creatures. Artifacts are only things that are human-made. But just like how we learn a lot from artifacts, archaeologists can obtain a lot of knowledge about past cultures by looking at fossils too. Information like dietary habits, healthcare, and burial practices are just some of the things we can learn from people's bones. Of course, when historians have fossils, artifacts, and primary sources, then they are able to piece together tons of details about past civilizations. And just like artifacts, you'll study some primary sources in this course that are thousands of years old. When it comes to time, the most common measurement for historians is years. And when studying ancient civilizations, we're talking about a lot of years. Take a look at this timeline. We'll be referring to it over and over throughout the course. Notice the present, which is marked over here at the bottom right.
If we go back more than 2,000 years, we see this red line. It signifies the change from BCE, which means before Common Era, to CE, or Common Era.
Instead of BCE, some people formerly used the term BC, which stands for before Christ. So the red line indicated when Jesus of Nazareth is believed to have been born. However, not everyone follows Christianity, so the terms BCE and CE were later created as a more inclusive way of counting years. It's important to note that the change from BC to BCE is just a change in terminology, so the actual years remain the same. So 2023 CE is the same thing as 2023 AD, which was short for Anno Domini, Latin for in the year of our Lord, indicating the birth of Jesus. Note that in this course, we are going to spend most of our time studying events during BCE years. Another way to measure time is the use of ages, or blocks of time.
Remember the difference between absolute and relative location in the 5 themes of geography? Well, think of a year as an absolute time, like the span of the Roman Republic, while the Iron Age is a time period relative to the technology available. The earliest was the Stone Age, a period during which many historians think humans began to modify stone and wood into basic tools.
The Stone Age lasted for centuries, and it ended more than 5,000 years ago. Next was the Bronze Age, which was characterized by the widespread use of bronze, a metal made from blending copper and tin.
During this period, humans made tools, weapons, and other objects out of bronze and other metals. It started at different times at different places and went on for centuries.
The third major period of study for ancient historians is the Iron Age, which began about 1200 BCE in Western Asia.
The use of iron was important because it was a lot stronger and more durable than bronze, in the same way that bronze is more durable than wood or stone.
People used iron to make strong tools and weapons like plows and axes, which helped them farm and build things.
What are some other improvements early civilizations made by using iron?
Anything made with iron was stronger. Notably, they made swords and armor and shields, none of which could be made of stone, then used them in battle to defend their land or invade other territories. The Iron Age saw the rise of powerful empires and the development of new technologies, such as the chariot. It lasted for several centuries and had a big impact on the course of human history, as we'll soon see. Primary sources are a first-hand account from someone from that time period, a witness to history. You could say kind of like Mia on the spaceship. Can you remember a couple of types of primary sources? Secondary sources are important too, as they describe and interpret events, kind of like the news report about Mia being abducted.
Artifacts are used by historians to reconstruct the past, especially when other primary sources are scarce.
Measuring time relating to ancient civilizations can be specific, such as years based on BCE, but can also use terms such as the Bronze and Iron Ages to help show progress and achievements. Next time, we'll take a look at what actually makes up a civilization. Until then, historians, keep uncovering the past and looking to the future. And remember to always be clever.